Hi, everyone. Hi. Do you know, I feel like everything that needs to be said has already been said. We've had such amazing speakers to kickstart our day together. And you know, when I walked in this morning, I thought, gosh, it's nearly 11 years since I got started with Forever. And in fact, in August, it'll be 11 years since I was invited and attended my first business presentation. And although it was nearly 11 years ago, I remember it like it was last night. I have to be honest, I didn't really understand all the percentages and all the Flow Joe stuff. In fact, the truth is, I didn't understand all the Flow Joe stuff until I'd probably been in the business about a year or two. It's okay, you still get paid, the check still builds, even if you don't quite understand it. But what did grab my attention all those years ago, and what has really, really stood out all these years, is what I saw that night was an opportunity that would allow me to be a mom at home. You see, I'd had a 6-month-old baby then, and I wanted to stay home. I wanted to raise my own family. I could be a mom at home, work flexible hours, work part-time, but still go on to develop a meaningful career, not stuffing envelopes or stacking shelves, develop a meaningful career and a 6-figure income. Didn't matter if I didn't understand the percentages. Didn't matter if I didn't understand Flow, Joe, Mo. For me, I saw the circles, and I thought, I know a few people. And, you know, really, nearly 11 years on, I'm very, very proud to be a part of this company, to be a part of this business, because I'm living proof. If you just follow the system will work for you. And Forever has delivered way beyond that vision that I had nearly 11 years ago. And I'd probably been in the business about 8 months. I got to supervisor, I think, on sheer enthusiasm, just by speaking to a few people and really getting stuck into the products. My son suffered from eczema, and I cleared up his eczema pretty much in the first couple of months. But then my business stayed supervisor for nearly 8 months. And although I grasped the big vision about this opportunity, the vision of a big income and a lifestyle, it took me probably 8 months to appreciate that actually you had to recruit people to get from here to that big lifestyle. And the idea of not just recruiting 1 or 2, but really appreciating the importance of sponsoring on a regular basis, it took me that long to kind of get it. And I can remember it was probably about June or July time, and I thought to myself, you know, if I'm ever going to get to that manager position. You see, manager was key for me because it promised an income of about £1,000 to £1,500 a month. Who here today is keen to get to manager? Who would love to add raising. Who'd love to add £1,000, £1,500 a month to your business in the next few months? And that's exactly where I was at a supervisor. You know, earning a few £100 a month was great, but a couple £100 a month wasn't £1,000 a month. And I also realized that if I was ever going to get to that car plan, that lucrative, exciting car plan, I was going to have to recruit some people. If I was ever going to have a chance, a shot at qualifying for the international rally, so the equivalent of the Hawaii rally, I was going to have to probably recruit some people. If I was ever going to have a shot at getting one of those big checks, that profit share thing, which I had no idea how to start on that one. That was way too complicated for me. I knew I was still going to have to sponsor some people. And so I was in the business nearly a year when the full, understanding of how important sponsoring is in this business model. If you are looking to earn more than just a few £100 a month. Don't get me wrong, we have a lot. It's come back. We have a lot of people who join this business for that few £100 a month. And if that's you, that's great. But if you're here today because you're looking for something bigger, then I have to share my experience and impress upon you that sponsoring is a key ingredient of that success. You know, we say the 5 key pillars of success in Forever are user products, retail the products, develop 20 customers, sponsor some people, work with 5 key people at a time, coach them to do the same, and personal development. Somehow that third pillar escaped me for the first 8 months. That was going to be a key stepping stone to the bigger incentive, to the ideal lifestyle. And I think at that point, embracing the idea that I was going to have to recruit some people, I had to stop hiding from the fact that people were then going to say no. And I think somehow the two are related. My lack of activity was linked with my fear of that little small word, no. Because the more you speak to people about this opportunity, you have to expect people are going to say no. And sometimes they'll go one step further. Not only will they say no, thank you, but they'll give you all of their helpful advice, won't they? Isn't it amazing how knowledgeable people are about our industry? Is it how helpful they want to be? And in a few cases, that help is genuine because people do have a genuine concern for us. They don't want us to get involved in something that's going to harm us. But I would say that's in a few cases. In most cases, it's people just have an opinion. They just can't wait to share. So the realization I was going to have to recruit more people to get to manager, to get to the bigger lifestyle, the bigger income, meant I had to brace myself for the no's. And, nearly 11 years on, it's probably one of the biggest elements we have to help new people through is accepting the no's and putting them into perspective. Because when you really step back, no is such a teeny tiny word, isn't it? It's literally 2 little letters stuck together. No different from the word at or in or up. And yet, why is it we react to that 2-letter word, no, in the same way, I guess some of us react to spiders? Who here has a fear of spiders? It's irrational, isn't it? Really, just take the emotions out of it for a minute. How tiny is a spider? The teeny tiniest ones, this big, smaller than your baby fingernail. And yet, in some homes, that's cause for the most insane hysteria. I've heard of people locking themselves upstairs in the spare room with their children for the rest of the day. Yes, I can hear the laugh from here. And that happens with the word no. People put the phone down and run away from the phone and never make a call for months. And yet, sponsoring is the lifeblood of this business if you want to earn more than a few £100 a month. And I knew enough of the model to appreciate that it's about a lot of people doing a little bit. I didn't have to know everybody in my city, and I knew that, and I picked up on that the very first time I went to the business presentation, because that's one of the things that attracted me to this business. I'm Canadian. I've now been in the UK 16 years, which meant when I joined Forever, I'd only been in the UK just under 6 years. So I didn't know a lot of people, but I did know a few. And so I knew enough about the model that a few would know a few, would know a few, would know a few. But ultimately, you had to start with my few. That if I didn't get my few underway, the next few who know a few wouldn't get going either. So I had to have a shift in my thinking, and that sponsoring isn't something I did once or twice and pray that I would sponsor the person who would go diamond. That actually sponsoring is a discipline of success. And disciplines aren't something you do once. It's something you do every day. Disciplines become a way of life. Sponsoring is a part of building your forever business. It's not something you just do once. And recruiting and getting to that position of manager is that foundation. I think Alison said it. Her list was that foundation that's going to pay you the rest of your life. Manager is the foundation to the bigger incentives, which are on offer to everybody. It's not just a select few. And so recruiting consistently to get to manager, continuing recruiting because that manager business is the foundation that will pay you for the rest of your life if you treat and embrace sponsoring as a discipline and not something you do once in a while. So I realized then that I had to really take some time to understand the numbers, the ratios that come with sponsoring so that I could put the no's in the right perspective. And Alison showed us the sponsoring cycle, and I'm sure you've all heard it either from your sponsor or team training or coming along to the success days, that we use benchmark ratios. And we all say, for every 12 people you know who you invite to have a look at this business, one will join. And then something ridiculous happens, even though we say it. For every 12, one will join. By the time we've got to our fourth no, what happens? The sky is falling. The world is ending. And your sponsor says, no, keep going. Keep going. You haven't got to 12 yet. Get to 12. And some of you brave folk will get to 12, and then you ring your sponsor and say, well, I still haven't sponsored anybody. And it's really hard, and it hurts. This little word no is debilitating me. And your sponsor says, keep going. The reality is I had to understand that ratios don't mean you speak to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the 12th person joins. Ratios mean you speak to, on average, 12 people, 1 joins. It also means you speak to, on average, 24 people, 2 people join. It does also mean you can speak to 36 people, and 3 people join. It also means you speak to 48 people and 4 people join. And if my math's really good, I could tell you what 5 is, but I have to stop there. I think it's 60. Is it 60? Okay. I did that off the top of my head. Aren't you impressed? If you speak to 60 people, you recruit 5. But why is it? Like me in my first year, maybe you get to 18, 19, 20, 30, and you kind of begin to think it doesn't work for you. You don't have that special magic. I don't have that special magic. Those other people do. And that's why I was a supervisor for 8 months. Earning a few £100 a month, but never quite getting enough momentum to get to that lucrative manager position. So embracing the numbers, really internalizing that you've got to go through that bulk of inviting people to have a look at this business, to find those few who really get inspired by what this incredible opportunity can give them. And so next time that little word no starts to undermine your confidence, have a quick look at your totals. Have a quick look at how many people you've actually spoken to. Because if it's 12 or 24 or 36 or 48 or 60 or 72, 72 must come next. It will work if you work it. My experience has been in most cases, we stop before the numbers or the ratios develop a pattern. And listen, you'll be forgiven for thinking that as a Sapphire manager, everybody I speak to joins. I wish. Hey, never forget me. You know, you can be forgiven for thinking that everybody John and Jane speaks to joins. I haven't asked them, but I don't have to ask them because I know they're giggling away. Okay, I'll ask them. Does everybody you speak to join? No. Jane's going, John's saying no, because you have ratios. There they go. I have ratios. We all have ratios. The difference is we just keep going. We have put that little word no in perspective. It's just no, not now, or no, thank you. It's not anything other than I don't drink tea or I don't drink coffee. So, everybody who put up their hand when I asked you who'd like to get to the manager position in the next few months, can I see those hands again? What would it be like in a few months' time to have an income of, say, £1,200 a month? What would your life be like? What would change? What would it allow you to do? Wouldn't achieving that goal, that income, that lifestyle be worth 50 no's? Would it be worth 100 no's? How many no's are you willing to hear to get to that manager position? Because the only thing stopping you is how many no's you're prepared to hear. What about car plan? Because as I shared, manager is just the foundation for car plan. Hawaii, Sardinia. Who'd like to go to Sardinia next year as an Eagle manager? Oh, gosh, that's keeping me up at nights, Sardinia. Who'd like to have a profit share check this year, next year? Listen, I want you to really think about it, because I started exactly where you new people are today. Ask myself, would it work for me? How many no's are you prepared to listen to get there? That's it. It is as simple as that. When it comes right down to it, recruiting, sponsoring, is the lifeblood of this business. I can remember going to, it must have been a success day really early on. And one of the leaders, one of the President's Club members would have done a training. And I can remember them saying, because someone asked, when can you stop recruiting? And their answer was, you can stop recruiting when you're earning the income of your dreams. You can stop recruiting when you feel you've achieved the lifestyle you've been working for. And until then, that's why it's a third pillar of success. We don't take it out when you get to Sapphire. We don't take it out. You don't suddenly have 4 pillars of success when you get to Soaring Manager. So I'm going to say, John and Jane don't do anything different than a brand new person getting started today. They probably do it a little bit better, but they do the same activity. Am I right? I know they do. I can remember being at an event and a distributor in the room said, I saw Jane Leach walking over whatever bridge it is in London carrying a pop box. Can you imagine that? Whatever next? She follows the 5 key pillars of success. Okay, recruiting. Let's go back to recruiting. So if sponsoring is such a pivotal part of getting to manager and beyond, then I want to encourage you to make a commitment to become a master recruiter. It's what I was encouraged to do, to master the skills of sponsoring, really master the skills of inviting and sponsoring people into this business. And for me, there's one area of skill to really develop to become a master recruiter, and it's communication skills. I think Cora once called it learning the language. You got to learn the language of this business. You got to get good at talking to people about this business. You've got to get good at inviting people to have a look at this opportunity, which could change their lives forever. You've got to get good at answering questions. You've got to get good at handling objections. You've got to get good at no longer sound like you have an elephant in your mouth every time you start to speak, because you're so nervous the moment you open your mouth, your tongue swells up to the size of an elephant. You see, we're all the same. We're no different from each other. We all go through the same experiences. Communication skills, the skills is what will build your confidence and keep your tongue the size it should be. So there's 5 things I'm going to recommend to help you become a master recruiter. And the first one is hang on to your sponsor or your upline manager. Sit with them to do phone calls. Sit with them to do profiles. Sit with them, listen to them make phone calls, have telephone sessions. If you try to build this business alone, you will find it harder than it needs to be. You see, the team marketing model is set up in a way that you get your own personal coach and mentor. And if your sponsor is brand new and your sponsor is brand new, then you know what? Go upline. There's an upline manager there who will have the skill and confidence to help you make those phone calls. Don't avoid it. Don't suddenly put to the top of the priority list all those odd jobs that you've left undone in the house for the last decade. People join forever and they suddenly have the tidiest lofts. Okay, you know what? Number one, sit with your sponsor. Go through those phone calls together. Number two is write down your profile. I can always tell by new distributors' results if they're writing it down or not. It's just the way it works. Writing it down means you are preparing for your phone call. If you are prepared, doesn't that automatically increase your likelihood of success? Write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. And the most common comment I hear people say is, but I've known them 20 years. I don't need to write it down. I do phone call sessions all the time, and over and over and over again. I can get people to role play a call without them writing it down, and then they role play after they've written it down, and they instantly see the difference in their confidence level. So write it down. Number three, we're so lucky to be surrounded by amazing tools to help us develop that skill of communication, of recruiting. And I'm going to recommend 4 books. You've heard one of them already, and I'm sure you're going to hear some more. The first one is by Alan Pease, Questions Are the Answers. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about this one. I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. Alan Pease, Questions Are the Answers. The CD, I want you to get the CD. When I listened to this CD, I thought it was a riddle. This whole thing that he does with these cards, I just thought, what is he on? But it was recommended from the front of the room so many times, I made a commitment to listen to it until I got it. And I'm not the cleverest in the bunch, but you know what? It took me probably half a dozen times till it finally clicked. And you know what? When I got it, it has stayed with me ever since. Questions are the answers. It will help you to deal with objections. It will help you answer questions you get. The next one is Robert Kiyosaki, Business of the 21st Century. Bob recommended it this morning. If you want to talk to business people and sound like you know what you're talking about, you've got to have this. It will also build your belief in the business. The third one is Danny Johnson's Scripts. It's great for people you know and people that you don't know. There's a little script book at the back as well. That's fabulous. The fourth one is, and Barry, Knowledge is King. They've sold out already today, but Barry has said he will take orders. And that is Tom Barrett. A lot of you will have read Tom Barrett's Success Happens or Dare to Dream, Work to Win. I'm going to recommend another one. And this one is called Demystifying Success. I'll tell you a story about demystifying success and testing my commitment to becoming a master recruiter. I want to go back maybe 6, 7 years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago. I can remember standing at a success day at the Knowledge is King table and just sort of glancing at the different tools that were available, trying to decide what I was going to get next. And I can remember Adam A. coming up, standing next to me. I didn't really know Adam then. And he sort of stood behind me and pointed to a set of CDs and said, if you're serious about building your business, you need to get that. I said, all right then. And it was Tom Barrett's Demystifying Success. So I picked it up thinking, all right, then I'll get that. And then I turned it over and it was 60 pounds. And I thought, 60 pounds. That's a lot of money, 60 pounds. But he was standing right there. So I thought, if I don't get it now, he's going to think I'm not committed. So I got it. I thought, I'll just take the sticker off before I get it home so Jeff doesn't see how much it cost. So just do that. Demystifying, so thank you, Adam, for testing my commitment to becoming a master recruiter. Demystifying success. These are just a selection. If you go out today, go and speak to the people working on the Knowledge is King stand. They will help you identify the right CD or the right book for you. And you know, that's a great example, that 60-pound set of CDs. questioning myself, could I afford it? I have a manager in my group, an Eagle manager in my group, who's famous for saying, Sarah Montgomery, she is famous for saying in our team, listen, don't even think about it because you can't afford not to invest in yourself. And Sarah's just always there. You can't afford not to invest in yourself. So the third thing is learn the language using the tools that are available to help you. The fourth thing to developing those great communication skills, becoming a master recruiter, is attend all the events. Attend all the events, not just some success days, all the success days. Not just one or two business presentations, your weekly business presentation. Not just some of your team events, all of your team events. I did a sizzle for a part of my group a few weeks ago, and I worked out how many success days I've been to. I've been in the business nearly 11 years, and so we worked out that I'd been to over 100 success days. That in my 10.75 years in Forever, I've missed 5. Now 2, I have to say, are this year because my mom was ill earlier this year, some of you will know. She's stable now. But in 10.5 years, if you exclude the last few months, 3 I have missed. If I were to ask John and Jane the same, if I were to ask Chris and Alan the same, if I were to ask Andy Waring the same, if I were to ask, yes, all the ADDs, all the hands are going up, us too, us too. It's not a coincidence. You see, at the events, if you just hear one word, one phrase, one way to handle a question that keeps you stumped every time, one way to answer a question that feels comfortable for you. Sometimes it can be like the missing piece in a jigsaw puzzle. Anybody ever do jigsaws? I have kids, I still do jigsaws. And suddenly you get one piece and the picture all comes together. That one word, one phrase can be the difference between recruiting occasionally and recruiting consistently. And the fifth thing in developing communication skills is practice. Practice, 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 practice. Many of you who work with me know of my story of my cousin Stephanie, who was a distributor in Forever. My cousin Stephanie's been learning to drive for over 25 years. She still doesn't drive. She doesn't. She's a real pain. She doesn't drive. She's currently living in East London. And even recently, she said, I'm coming to see you. And at the bottom of the message on Facebook was, you will pick me up at the Oxford station, won't you? Thinking, yeah, you're still not driving. Now listen, my cousin Stephanie's probably had, 40 driving lessons in 25 years. But that's the problem, isn't it? Do you think if she'd had 40 driving lessons 40 days in a row, she might be driving? Well, every time she gets in the car, it's the same thing. Here's a steering wheel, which is the gas, the brake. Oh, this gear shift, you have to do this as well as steer, and this mirror, and that mirror, and oh my gosh, there's another mirror over there. Listen, it's the same thing if you're only making one phone call every few weeks. It'll be like, what do I say? I say this, I don't say that, I have to smile, I have to stand up, I have to hold the phone, I have to write down their notes. It's not a habit. If you have to think about it, is it? Practice, practice, practice. If you do your 40 calls in less than 40 days, you will no longer have an elephant in your mouth. I promise you. So don't be like my cousin Stephanie, 25 years on. You'll pick me up at the Oxford station, won't you? Practice, practice, practice. So I believe that learning the language, learning the skills, developing your communication skills will give you the confidence and help you to really become a master recruiter. It will help you put that little word no into perspective. So that little word no won't knock you every time you hear it. It's communication and understanding. So that when you pick up the phone, you know you're picking up the phone on purpose. You know you're inviting someone to have a look at this business, not only to change your life, but to change their life. So when you pick up the phone to invite someone to have a look at this business, you're on purpose. You know you're building a manager business. You know It's on purpose. You're working towards finding managers to put in your business. So you're building a profit share structure. You know, when you're picking up the phone, you're working towards car plan, Hawaii, Sardinia. Those two are completely linked together. One will lead on to the other. And so for me, being a master recruiter is really team marketing. It really describes a few who know a few, but it's got to start with your few. And in terms of what lifestyle you can expect, to know whatever you want, Forever can help you to achieve it. You know, nearly 11 years on, we were living a life beyond what we thought is possible. When I made that decision, when I was a supervisor, to finally become or make recruiting a discipline, a daily discipline, instead of just something I did occasionally, I went manager in 16 weeks. That's going from a £139 bonus check a month to £1,286 a month. Within 2 years of joining, so a year after achieving manager, my bonus check went up to £2,800 a month. 10 months later was my first £5,000 a month check. And in between that, I had a second baby. You can skip the baby bit if you like. How many no's are you prepared to hear to get to £5,000 a month? £5,000 a month is a lot of money. For whom would that be really life-changing? Really life-changing. How many no's are you prepared to hear? Because for me, as frustrating as a long string of no's can be today, and I still get patches of no, 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 helpful advice, no, 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 helpful advice. I know the only way to achieve Hawaii, profit share, car plan is to keep recruiting. That's my job description. That's your job description, is to become a master recruiter.